She thought she could ruin my life and steal everything I built until the judge read her own contract out loud. My name is Ethan. For 8 years, I believed I had everything. I built my company from literally nothing. A folding table, a laptop, 3 years of barely breaking even before things turned around. I worked nights. I missed dinners that went cold on the stove. But I always came home because Lauren was there. Lauren was sharp, self-possessed, the kind of woman who always seemed to know exactly what she wanted. Our friends said we were the couple everyone was rooting for. I thought we were the real thing. Before the wedding, Lauren suggested a marriage contract. She said she wanted us both protected in case life got complicated. I signed it without much thought. I had nothing to hide and nothing to fear. That was the first thing she counted on. The signs were always there, looking back. Small distances. Evenings where she was physically present, but somewhere else entirely. I told myself it was normal, that she'd talk to me when she was ready. Then one Tuesday, I came home early. Her phone was on the kitchen counter, screen lit up. She was in the other room. A message came through that I was never supposed to see. 4 words from Ryan. Did he find out? Ryan, my closest friend since college, my business partner, the man who stood next to me at my own wedding. I put the phone down exactly where I found it, walked into the living room, stood there, walked back, picked it up and read it again, like the second time might say something different. It didn't. I made a decision that night. I wasn't going to say a word. I hired a private investigator the next morning, told him I needed the full picture, and I needed it quiet. Over the next 6 weeks, he handed me a version of my marriage I had never seen. Lauren and Ryan had been meeting for over a year. Hotels. A restaurant across town they thought was far enough away. Long calls on afternoons she told me she was working from home. But the affair turned out to be the smallest part of it. Because they weren't just having an affair. They were building a plan. Lauren had been consulting with a divorce attorney for months, mapping out what she believed she was owed. My company, the house, the investment accounts, everything. She had documentation, a timeline, a strategy. The investigator played me a recording. Lauren's voice, completely relaxed. He'll just go along with whatever I tell him. He always has. Then Ryan said something I couldn't make out. And she laughed, not nervously, just laughed.
This illustrates a phenomenon known as duping delight, where a manipulator experiences genuine pleasure from the anticipation of deceiving an unsuspecting target.
I listened to it twice. Then I set my phone face down and sat there for a long time. But it got worse. Buried in the report was something I couldn't explain. Lauren had been asking questions, repeatedly to multiple people, about a child connected to my family, a name I'd never heard. Ryan kept pushing her toward it. One message from him read, "If the trust is real, everything else becomes irrelevant." The trust. I had to read that 3 times. My father passed away 6 years earlier. He left me the business and a modest inheritance. That was everything I knew. But Lauren had found something I hadn't. Somewhere in a box of old paperwork I'd never opened, she found a reference to a private trust my father established before he died. Assets worth far more than anything I'd ever declared. And a single named beneficiary. A child. Lauren became convinced I'd been living a double life. That I had another family hidden somewhere. That I'd been concealing a fortune from her our entire marriage. Ryan fed that belief at every turn, told her I was too controlled, too careful, that it all pointed to someone with something to hide.
This is a classic case of psychological projection combined with confirmation bias, where wrongdoers project their own deceptive behavior onto others to justify their hostility.
She never once considered she might be wrong. It took 3 weeks and a very good estate attorney to find the truth. Years before I was born, my father had a relationship he never talked about. A daughter, born quietly, placed with another family under circumstances he carried alone until the day he died. He set up the trust to protect her without disrupting the life she'd already been given. Her name was Clara. She was 28, living in another city, completely unaware the trust existed. The child Lauren had been obsessively hunting wasn't proof of my betrayal. She was my father's secret, his way of making something right after he was gone. Lauren had built her entire plan on a wrong assumption, and she never stopped anyway, even when the search led nowhere, even when the trust turned out to be legally untouchable. She still filed. She still came after everything. That's when I went back and read our marriage contract. Lauren had insisted on that contract, walked into our marriage with it already drafted. Wanted protection, she said. Fairness. There was one clause, right there in the document she wrote, in her own words, above her own signature. If either spouse engaged in proven adultery while simultaneously pursuing financial deception during divorce proceedings, they would forfeit significant claims to marital assets. She wrote it. She signed it. Then she did both things it described. For 3 months, I gathered everything quietly. Investigator reports, financial records, recorded conversations, proof of the affair, proof of the asset targeting, proof that this was a coordinated plan from the beginning. When the court date came, Lauren walked in composed and certain. Ryan sat 2 rows back in the gallery, apparently confident enough to watch in person. My attorney said almost nothing in the first hour. Then he started presenting evidence. 1 document at a time, slow and deliberate. The affair. Confirmed. The secret attorney consultations. Documented, dated months before Lauren showed any sign something was wrong. The recordings. Authenticated, including the one where she laughed. The financial targeting. Laid out in detail that made the room go quiet. I watched Lauren's attorney lean in and whisper something urgent. Watched her shake her head. Watched the color leave her face when the marriage contract came out. Her contract, her clause, her signature. She tried to argue it wasn't applicable. The judge listened, reviewed everything, then looked at Lauren for a long moment without speaking. What followed took 1 afternoon to dismantle everything Lauren had spent a year building. The claims fell one by one. She was ordered to cover a substantial portion of the legal costs. I sat in my chair after it ended and waited for relief to arrive. Mostly, I just felt tired and ready to go home. 3 weeks later, my father's estate attorney helped me reach her. I drove to another city and knocked on a door I'd never seen before. Clara opened it, 28 years old. She had my father's eyes, and it stopped me cold. We sat at her kitchen table for 4 hours. I told her everything I knew about our father. She told me what it had been like to grow up with a question she couldn't name, the feeling that part of her story was missing. At some point she said, "I used to wonder if anyone out there even knew I existed." I told her someone had. He just didn't know how to say it. She cried. I came close. The business survived. The house is mine. The trust is with Clara, exactly where my father intended. And Lauren is gone so completely that some days the 8 years feel like something that happened to somebody else. But Clara is real. Sitting across that kitchen table, I understood something for the first time. Lauren went looking for a secret to use against me. She found one. Just not the one she was expecting. And what came out of it wasn't the end of everything I'd built. It was the beginning of something I didn't know I was missing.
Lauren thought she could steal it all, but Karma had other plans. What would you do if you were in Ethan's shoes? Drop your thoughts in the comments.